All right, I'm Lior Lazari. I'm joined in by Kyle Van Gotham. Really excited to talk about our workmanship together. So myself, I'm the CEO of inVia Robotics. We provide warehouse fulfillment solutions to a lot of e-commerce customers, basically trying to solve the labor need and how do we get people to do as many orders as possible. Kyle, you want to?
I'm Kyle Van Gotham, head of network planning with Stored. We are building the cloud supply chain where we're using technology to really expand capabilities and build hybrid networks and give shippers visibility of their inventory, their orders, and things like that. So I'm really glad to be here.
Perfect. So, as we all know, right, e-commerce is a big problem, right? And mostly because every consumer wants the items right away, right? You go in, you click add to cart, very simple process, and you sort of expect the item to materialize next to your door. If not within an hour, at most 2 days. If it goes over 2 days, you're like, what's going on? What's happening? Why is this item not in my doorstep? And a lot of businesses are struggling to, fulfill these items as quickly as possible. So one of the things that we make at inVia is robotic solutions and picking solutions to help with those processes. And obviously inside the warehouse, there's a lot of items, there's a lot of movements that have to be done. And the way we sold it is both in a software solution and a robotic solution. The software solution helps you manage the warehouse, manage the people, manage the movements, when should something happen, how should something happen optimally. And then the robots come in to basically, in a sense, shrink your warehouse. They take out the totes and they move them over to a much closer density location. So you can see that here in one of the examples. It's basically a warehouse setup where we have a picker wall where the robots on one end are bringing in the items for the people to pick for that day. So the person on the other side can come in at different times of the day, pick those orders, and move them out as quickly as possible. That's how we're going to be able to basically ship these items as quickly as possible to the consumers. You can see here is a quick video on some of the problems. Inside the warehouse, right, it's a 250,000 square facility. Every one of these dots is one of our customers has to run around and pick those. And every single day, it's a different set of dots, right? Different set of items that they have to pick. With our robots, we're basically taking those items, putting them onto a wall, onto that picker wall. You can see that in green. And then people come in, like I mentioned, and come in and pick that on the other side. And that helps them really move quickly as possible. The other aspect that we have is a labor management where we're deciding who should go and pick, when should they go and pick that, how should they go and pick it, whether it's a forklift driver doing the replan at the time, and what is the routes that they should take through the warehouse as efficiently as possible to try to get as many items as possible. And then once we plan all that, the robots go out, pick up those containers, and then basically build this picker wall, as you can see here. And as they're building the picker wall, the people on the other side are able to come in and pick from those items and really kind of decoupling the labor. So you can see this person right here picking, and they end up being pretty fast. So in one aspect, we have a very intuitive interface that shows them the layout of the rack, how to pick, what we call a virtual pick-to-color system. And then he's moving forward from that wall, and as he's picking, the robots are able to go in the back and replace it with the next set of orders that they have to pick. So in a sense, that big warehouse that we had with all these dots, we're basically shrinking it down to 10, 20% of the warehouse, because that is what the typical access is in an e-commerce store. And obviously, to grow more, you can work with mezzanines or grow to higher levels. It all depends on the customer, and we grow with their business. So very excited by that. In there. So with that, I'll introduce Kyle.
So I kind of touched on it before, but Stored is really focusing on building the cloud supply chain. And part of that is not only do we have technology to help shippers know where their goods are, where their orders are across multiple facilities. So we don't, what's unique about us is we're very agnostic. We don't care if it's our facility, if it's someone else's, and our platform allows that central visibility. And so, as we build out our network through our partner 3PLs as well as our own stand-up facilities, that visibility is key. And part of that, obviously, is getting the throughput in our own buildings, which is why we look at providers such as inVia to help us increase that throughput and really get to where we need to go. So we're seeing a lot of success there, and it's getting very exciting.
Cool, thank you.
Oh, and for more info, you can scan that QR code. And one of our fantastic marketing or sales folks will we'll get a hold of you.
Yeah. So when you were looking at different automations, what were some of the pain points that you were trying to solve, some of the challenges that you guys had?
So there's a couple of big challenges, especially in this world of public warehousing, um, where I don't control the goods that come in. I have different shippers that I support, and so capex is a big deal. It's very hard if I can't get that ROI, and because my business may change, it's going to may look different tomorrow, in a month, in a week. I need to have a solution that's very flexible and scalable, and some of the fixed infrastructure systems don't really fit that bill. The other thing that what we really liked about the inVia system is they've segregated the software and the hardware. So we've actually gone through and we're in the process of implementing software first, and then it's a very light lift then to go from getting the optimization of their warehouse execution system, getting those efficiencies, and then we come and add the robots, and those efficiencies just continue to go through the roof. So it's a combination of CapEx, scalability, and the ability to go fast.
All right. And that probably brings it to the next question. What were some of the key items that you were looking for when you were trying to choose a vendor?
Stored, we're on a very fast growth pace, so it's someone that can work at our speed, which can be a challenge for some of the other providers, quite frankly. And the ability to step into the solution, and it's not all in. Also, I can augment my existing facility infrastructure systems with your system, which is nice, right? I don't have to shut down a quarter of the warehouse and put in the infrastructure, put in the hardware, put in the software. I can continue to build in tandem with operations, so I don't shut anything down. But I start to see those efficiencies very quickly. So those were two of the big ones.
All right, yeah. And definitely, right, we see that constantly, being able to deploy into existing warehouses is extreme key. So in the end, were those the two things that made you choose inVia? Was there something else that made you choose inVia?
It was the flexibility, it was the speed, and quite honestly, the pricing model. I mean, going with this robot as a service allows us to augment our existing infrastructure, our existing people, but also I'm not out millions of dollars out of the gate. I can step into it. I can turn the knob up and down depending on how my business changes, and that flexibility again is one of the key things we do. Is we have to be nimble and flexible. And so those are the two big things that really helped us make that decision.
All right. And, obviously, as we're deploying with any deployment, right, there's bumps, there's goods, there's bads. Maybe you can speak a little bit on what you kind of liked about the system, where, we really are able to shine, and how that worked for you guys, and where you saw the benefits.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest is we were able to almost kind of bolt it on the back side of our WMS, which was really critical. So it didn't require us to redo a WMS. The API webhooks are there. They're pretty clean. Your team does a great job of working with us, figuring out where decisions are going to be made. That's probably the hardest part, is to figure out who's going to make the decision of inventory allocation, movement, things like that. But allowing us to step into it, and then also it's a very intuitive user interface. I made my client success representative's pick the other day, and they're getting rates at 300-400 lines per hour, which far exceeds what we even do in warehouses, people that do it all day, all long. So I think the intuitiveness of the system, the ability to come up fast, and the other thing that's really nice is it's hardware agnostic. So I can throw any tablet on it. I can find the right scan gun for that application, or ring scanner or glove scanner, whatever it makes sense. I'm not locked into particular hardware vendors, things like that. So that just having that flexibility to move wherever I need and quickly move is also another big positive.
All right. And then, obviously, as we deployed it, learned a lot of different lessons of what, could be done. And especially if somebody else is looking for other automations or other ways of improving their warehouse, what would you recommend they should be looking at, and how, next time, like, maybe deployments could be faster, more scalable, those kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you have to have a commitment internally and with your IT team. Everything is plug and play, and it's not really plug and play. There's always a heavier lift than it sounds. But if you have the right people who are dedicated to it, you have to have stakeholders that are committed to it. But the gains are more than worth it. So be committed. Understand that it's not going to go smooth day one, but it should go smooth day two. As long as you can iterate fast, and the folks at inVia can do that, your team needs to be prepared for that. You should be in pretty good shape.
Awesome. And then last question. What would you want to see from automations that is not there, that you haven't seen, that people are not being able to provide in there?
That's a good question. I think, we've kind of solved, for lack of a better term, with AMRs and some of your solutions, the picking process or the movement of goods to the pick front. I think the next thing that we probably need to see is more either bulk, the ability to move bulk stuff a little bit easier. I mean, you've got Raymond here. They're close, they're not quite there, but it's the next activity. It's the packing activities. It's still very manual. It's the decanting. So some of the things, and there's providers here that are starting to they're getting closer. I'm not quite sure that they're there yet, but it's that next level of automation. I mean, I think we attack the right problem first, which is the picking problem, because that's the largest percentage of time. It's also the most time sensitive. But now that we've almost got that one put to bed, I think it's time to go get that other stuff, whether it's receiving, decanting, replenishing, just kind of to automate those activities. I think would be the next thing to really go after.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely that feedback makes a big difference for us and where products should go next. So thank you very much, Kyle. Really appreciate it. Obviously there's going to be a lot of need, right, as our world changes completely, to have more and more people, and people like Stored are helping fulfill this and helping to fulfill to our other customers. So really appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.